Imagine being called crazy, paranoid, or delusional for believing something that later turns out to be completely true. Throughout history, countless conspiracy theories have circulated around the world. Most of them remain unproven, while many are completely false. However, every once in a while, a conspiracy theory emerges that sounds so unbelievable that nobody wants to believe it. Government documents get declassified. Secret files are leaked. Whistleblowers come forward. Investigations reveal shocking truths hidden from the public for years. Today's countdown features 10 conspiracy theories that were once dismissed as wild fantasies, but were later confirmed through official documents, investigations, and undeniable evidence. Now let's dive into the countdown. Number 10. Operation Mockingbird. For decades, many people suspected that intelligence agencies were secretly influencing news organizations and controlling public opinion. The idea sounded like something from a spy movie. According to the theory, journalists and media outlets were being used to spread information favorable to government interests. Skeptics laughed at the claim and dismissed it as paranoia. Then the truth started to emerge. During investigations in the 1970s, evidence surfaced that the CIA had indeed developed relationships with journalists and media organizations as part of intelligence operations. The project became known as Operation Mockingbird. Documents and congressional investigations suggested that the agency maintained connections with numerous journalists around the world. The revelations shocked many Americans because they challenged the assumption that media organizations operated completely independently from intelligence agencies. The lesson was simple. Sometimes influence doesn't require controlling every voice. Sometimes influencing a few key voices can shape an entire conversation. Number 9. MK Ultra. What if your government secretly experimented on human minds? That sounds like the plot of a science fiction thriller, yet that's exactly what happened. In the early years of the Cold War, fears about brainwashing and psychological warfare were spreading rapidly. American intelligence agencies worried that enemy nations might develop methods to control human behavior. In response, the CIA launched a classified research program known as MK Ultra. The project's objective was to study mind control, interrogation techniques, and behavioral manipulation. Over the years, researchers conducted hundreds of experiments. Some participants volunteered. Others had absolutely no idea they were being tested. Certain subjects were secretly administered drugs, including LSD. Others were exposed to hypnosis, sensory deprivation, psychological stress, and experimental techniques designed to alter behavior. For years, rumors circulated about government mind control experiments. Most people dismissed those stories as nonsense. Then investigations by Congress in the 1970s revealed the truth. Thousands of documents confirmed that MK Ultra was real. Many records had been destroyed before the investigation began, meaning the full extent of the program may never be known. Number 8. The Tuskegee Experiment. One of the darkest medical scandals in American history began in 1932. Hundreds of African American men in Alabama were recruited into what they believed was a healthcare program. The participants were told they were receiving medical treatment. But that wasn't the truth. Researchers were actually studying the progression of untreated disease. Even after effective treatment became available, many participants were deliberately denied proper care. The study continued for decades. Families suffered, lives were lost. Then in 1972, investigative reporting exposed the truth. Government officials were forced to answer difficult questions. Today, the Tuskegee experiment serves as a reminder of why informed consent and ethical standards are so important. Number 7. Operation Northwoods. In 1962, U.S. military officials developed proposals known as Operation Northwoods. The documents outlined various scenarios that could potentially create support for military action against Cuba. Some proposals included staging incidents and attributing them to a foreign adversary. Fortunately, these plans were never approved. They were never implemented. But their existence shocked historians and the public alike. The reason this story remains so fascinating is because it demonstrates that governments sometimes discuss extraordinary options behind closed doors. Even if those plans never become reality, the fact that they were proposed can reshape public understanding of history. Number 6. Mass surveillance programs. For years, privacy advocates warned that governments were collecting enormous amounts of information about ordinary citizens. Critics dismissed those concerns. They argued that such large-scale surveillance would be impossible to hide. Then came Edward Snowden. In 2013, classified documents leaked by Snowden revealed extensive surveillance programs operated by the National Security Agency. The documents suggested that communications data was being collected on a scale few people imagined: phone records, internet activity, digital communications. The revelations triggered worldwide debate. Critics claimed they represented a serious threat to privacy. The surveillance programs existed. Number 5. COINTELPRO. During the civil rights era and political unrest of the 1960s, many activists suspected they were being watched. Some believed government agencies were infiltrating organizations and attempting to disrupt movements from within. At the time, those claims were often dismissed. Then, evidence emerged. The FBI had operated a secret program called COINTELPRO. The initiative targeted various political groups, activists, and organizations considered influential or potentially disruptive. The program involved surveillance, infiltration, psychological tactics, and efforts to create divisions within targeted groups. The exposure of COINTELPRO remains one of the most controversial chapters in American law enforcement history. Number 4. Project Sunshine. Project Sunshine was a controversial research initiative that emerged in the years following World War II, during a time when global fear of nuclear weapons and radioactive fallout was extremely high. Governments and scientific institutions were deeply concerned about understanding the long-term impact of radiation on human health, especially after the atomic bombings in Japan revealed devastating consequences. The main purpose of Project Sunshine was to study how radioactive substances spread through the environment and how they affected human bodies over time. However, the project later became widely controversial due to serious ethical concerns. It was alleged that some of the tissue samples used in the research, particularly those taken from deceased infants and children, were collected without proper consent from families. The lack of transparency surrounding the project further increased public distrust in government-led research programs. The controversy surrounding Project Sunshine became an important example in the history of scientific ethics. Number 3. The Gulf of Tonkin controversy. In 1964, reports emerged that U.S. naval vessels had been attacked in the Gulf of Tonkin. The incident played a major role in escalating American involvement in Vietnam. At the time, the official narrative faced little public scrutiny. Historians discovered that aspects of the second reported attack were highly disputed. The controversy became one of the most famous examples of how misinformation, confusion, or misinterpretation can influence major geopolitical decisions. Number 2. Secret radiation experiments. For decades, rumors circulated that government agencies had exposed individuals to radiation without their knowledge. Many people considered those stories impossible. Unfortunately, some of them were true. Many participants were not fully informed about the risks. The revelations shocked the public and contributed to growing demands for stronger protections in scientific research. Number 1. The biological testing programs. During the Cold War, governments conducted various biological testing programs to study vulnerability and preparedness. In some cases, harmless substances were released into environments to track how biological agents might spread. At the time, the public knew little about these operations. When details later emerged, many people were stunned. The idea that governments would conduct such tests near populated areas sounded like pure fiction. Yet official records confirmed that some testing programs had indeed taken place. These stories reveal an important truth. In fact, many popular conspiracies collapse when examined closely. The next time you hear a shocking claim, don't immediately believe it, and don't automatically dismiss it either. Because sometimes the truth is stranger than anyone could have imagined. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more fascinating stories from history. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.